Today we are going to be discussing the menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle, ladies and gentlemen, knowledge of this cycle, both by the man and the woman, lays a foundation for a healthy sexual life, for a healthy marital and sexual life. I will beg on anyone who will wish to understand the menstrual cycle to follow this lesson. We are not going to be long. To be able to make everyone understand what happens in the system of man, the female, that brings about menstruation and how it happens in a cyclical manner, in form of a cycle. We are going to start by examining what we refer to as the hypothalamo-ovarian axis, if you like. You add hypothalamus, pituitary, ovaries, and the uterus, because this cycle considers the hypothalamus, and link to the pituitary gland, and link to the ovary, and of course could go to the uterus, the uterus. So I refer to this as the hypothalamo-pituitary-ovarian axis, where we consider man as having a head, and that head, we are looking only at the centers of hormonal secretion. They are divided into two, the higher centers and the lower centers. The higher centers have to do with the hypothalamus. The lower center, the pituitary gland. There is a link between hypothalamus down to the pituitary gland, meaning that the higher centers are the hypothalamus, and then the lower center, the pituitary gland. Now you find an axis that moves down and take to the right and to the left. We just indicate by an arrow, and this leads to a round or rounded organ on the left and also on the right. These are the organs we refer to as the ovary, or the ovaries. There are two rounded structures in the female, down in the pelvic cavity on both sides, one on the right, one on the left. But you see how they are directly linked to the brain. Now, this is an arrow leading from brain going down. Now, in the center here, we can sketch the structure of the womb. I am going to show you what happens between the brain, the ovaries, and then the uterus to bring about menstruation. Now, we defined menstruation as the shedding of the inner lining. This is the inner lining of the uterus, of the womb. It's shedding and the consequent bleeding coming out from the vagina, and the woman begins to wear pad, sanitary pads. When this is happening, we also describe the menstrual flow as the weeping of the disappointed uterus. Now, I want to let you understand why we describe it as the weeping of a disappointed uterus. Why do you think the uterus is disappointed? It's just like when man is greatly disappointed, he cries or he weeps. And when you weep, tears flow. And that is just what's happening to the womb. That the womb is weeping and then tears is flowing. These tears, why we are describing tears, is the blood, are the tissues peeling off from the inner lining of the womb, including the dead egg, all the secretions therein. When all of that mixed together, we call it menstrual flow, not blood. Because blood is just one of the components. My dear sisters and brothers, because everyone should be interested to understand the menstrual cycle right from its basis. This diagram, I'm doing the sketch indicating what's happening at the level of the brain up in the head and linked to the ovary, is something that I want everyone to take note of. When the female child grows to maturity, it is the higher centers, the hypothalamus, that is alarmed, that is stimulated, that notices this physical growth. But then the hypothalamus will secrete a hormone that we call gonadotrophin releasing hormone, GnRH, gonadotrophin releasing hormone. The hypothalamus will secrete this hormone just by the stimulation brought by physical growth and development of the body of this girl and the environmental factors that have stimulated the hypothalamus. This is the reason why those girls that are more exposed to civilization, to certain gadgets that they learn also, their brain develops. And that part of the brain we are referring to is the hypothalamus. When it is finally certain that this system is mature enough to start reproducing, that is what stimulates the hypothalamus to secrete gonadotrophin releasing hormone. When it secretes it, it sends it down to the pituitary gland. So it is the gonadotrophin releasing hormone that stimulates the pituitary gland. When it stimulates the pituitary gland, then this gland, pituitary, secretes a hormone called follicle stimulating hormone and send it down to the ovaries. When it secretes it, it deposits in the bloodstream. As blood is circulating around the body, it takes it to all parts of the body. But at that time, it will not have any effect in any other organ in the body. It will have an effect on the cells of the ovary when it finally gets to the ovary. Why? Because you see the name follicle stimulating hormone. It is named after the cells that is going to act on. And those special cells that we call them follicles, primordial follicles, they are found in the ovary of the woman. And so this hormone that normally comes from the pituitary gland, we call it FSH. That's follicle stimulating hormone. It doesn't have a name, but you see, it has been named after what it is going to do, because it's going to stimulate follicles in the ovary. When this follicle stimulating hormone reaches the ovaries, it now causes the ovary to release an egg. You may notice one or a small egg come out from that ovary. When it comes out like that, they call this process of release that ovulation. When you see a small egg succeed to come out from the ovary, it is called ovulation. Meaning that there are so many cells inside the ovary. So many, like I told us in the other lesson, that by the time a baby girl is born, they are already made primordial follicles, which range between 200,000 to 400,000 in number. But they will remain there primitive until this lady reaches age of maturity, what we call puberty. And that is at puberty that hypothalamus releases gonadotrophin releasing hormone, and then it stimulates the pituitary, which then releases follicle stimulating hormone, and the follicle stimulating hormone stimulates some of these follicles inside the ovary. The ones that receive follicle stimulating hormone, they start growing and mature the egg from them. When one of them cracks, just like an egg cracks and releases a baby, when one of them that grows cracks and releases an egg, the production of follicle stimulating hormone stops. Then that same brain now starts producing another hormone called luteinizing hormone. Because luteinizing hormone is coming as a second hormone now to act in this cell, this empty shell, this particular one that has release an egg, remains an empty shell. It has fluid inside, yellow fluid. That's what we describe as lutein. And that empty shell now begins to secrete hormones again. The particular type of hormone coming from there is estrogen and progesterone. That one is facilitated by luteinizing hormone, which is still secreted from the pituitary gland. Therefore, estrogens and progesterone now continue to be secreted from where the egg has been released in the ovary. But the estrogen, their job is to function here in the womb. They will cause a thickness, proliferation of a layer inside the uterus. And one thicker layer is formed inside the inner lining of the womb. We call it the decidual lining or the decidua. This is that lining that if this egg gets fertilized, the egg will move through the fallopian tube until when it is entering the uterine cavity, it will meet soft, very receptive kind of tissue, this decidual lining, and it will implant inside. When it fits itself inside, we call it implantation. And that is why pregnancy grows inside the uterine cavity. If the fertilized egg delays in the fallopian tube, it can implant inside the tube, ending up with what we call ectopic pregnancy. But now, my dear sisters, when the little girl has not had any sexual intercourse, so that sperms can be supplied, then this egg that has been released will not be fertilized. Once released like this, it has up to 3 days, that's 72 hours, to live. Within which, if it is not fertilized by a sperm cell, it dies, it degenerates, and is reabsorbed into the bloodstream. After all, it is protein. It is protein in nature. They are protein bodies. Now, this empty shell continue to produce estrogen and progesterone, which continue to build this decidual lining in the womb, waiting for implantation. When this egg is not fertilized, it means that there will be no fertilized egg to come and implant there. This tissue has a lifespan, and what contributes in it is the level of estrogen and progesterone that is being secreted from this empty shell, which we now call it corpus luteum. Therefore, the corpus luteum is that yellow body on the ovary indicating where an egg has been released, indicating that that ovary has ovulated, meaning it has released an egg, meaning that the woman is fertile. But if that egg is not fertilized, the egg dies, just like we say, degenerate and reabsorb. Now this tissue will wait in the womb and is being sustained by estrogen and progesterone. When the level of estrogen and progesterone go high in blood, it sends some negative feedback to the brain to stop the action, the secretion of luteinizing hormone. It means that the level of luteinizing hormone will stop. Therefore, the corpus luteum cannot continue producing estrogen again. But you know what? Just some few days, the estrogen level that was high and the progesterone level, all of that will be used up in the womb to sustain this tissue of the decidual lining. And so the level of estrogen and progesterone will drop again. When it drops like that, these tissues cannot stand strong again. They begin to shrink. They begin to shrink and peel off as if it's blight that has cut your Irish potatoes or something in the farm. You just 2-3 days want to come, everything rotten. That's how all this decidual lining peel off, because there's no more estrogen to sustain its growth and health. When they start peeling like that, both the tissues, the blood capillaries that crack, blood comes out from it, plus the dead egg, plus the secretions all over the womb, it begins to flow out. You have no other choice than to buy pad, sanitary pad, you begin to wear. When you are wearing sanitary pad, the lady will teach you how to feed it well. It's just like telling your womb that, please, I'm sorry. I am very sorry. Next month, I'll see what to do. Because you have disappointed the womb. The womb has prepared a good decidual lining, waiting for fertilization, and your egg has not been fertilized. The egg has died. And so the womb is like you prepared all food, waiting for strength, for visitors. They didn't come. And you are getting angry and then pushing out everything. And then you keep wearing pad until it dries. It gives you another chance for next month. But when the levels of this estrogen drop to barest minimum, you see, it gives back a positive feedback to the brain, right? To the hypothalamus. And that's what stimulates it, the hypothalamus now to begin to produce gonadotrophin releasing hormone again, and the cycle starts all over. And so this high begins to happen. When it ends, it starts again. When it ends, it starts again, until you will understand that when this your egg is released, and then you have sexual intercourse, and healthy sperms come, fertilize this egg, you get pregnant. The pregnancy is implanted in the womb. Once the womb has pregnancy implanted, the sexual lining will be feeding the pregnancy, and it begin to grow, and the womb will be so happy for you. It will be so happy with you. In fact, it will bless you, and that's why you will not bleed. Once a woman is pregnant, it cannot bleed again. It is another topic we will learn, bleeding in pregnancy. That is not menses. We shall look at what can cause a woman get pregnant and still notice bleeding. We shall learn that in next edition. My name is Dr. David Ayim of Dr. David Reproductive Health channel. Subscribe, okay, like, you know what? Click on the notification button. You are good to go. Thank you.